Okay, that should be much better, Councilor Timmers. I'll disconnect from your PC
Thank you,
now.
Matt.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Give me one moment. Madam Mayor, we are ready to go.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call this special council meeting of June 29th, 2020 to order. My name is Sandra Easton, Mayor of the Town of Lincoln, and today's chair for today's special council meeting. We're meeting electronically through Zoom, and this is our 5th meeting during this declared emergency period. Members of the public may observe the proceedings by accessing the live webcast at our YouTube channel. The Shononton people have called these lands home for thousands of years, and more recently, the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee have been sharing the land as one dish, one spoon treaty territory. We would like to acknowledge the enduring resilience of the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people who call this territory home. I would ask our town clerk to complete a roll call of council so that we can confirm everyone's attendance as we are holding this meeting electronically today, and also to confirm quorum. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll ask the members of council to take their microphones off mute, and when I call your name, say here. Mayor Easton,
Here.
Councilor Rajima,
Here.
Councilor Russell,
Here.
Councilor Brunet,
Here.
Councilor Pachariva,
Here.
Councilor McPherson,
Here.
Councilor Miklick,
Here.
Councilor Timmers,
Here.
Councilor Reimer,
Here.
and we have quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. In addition, I want to take a moment to welcome the staff we have joining us today electronically. Chief Administrative Officer, Michael Kirkopoulos, Finance Treasurer, Terry Trawala, Director of Planning and Development, Kathleen Dale, Director of Community Services, Shannon Mackay, Fire Chief, Greg Hudson, Economic Development Officer, Paul Deaney, and Director of Public Works, Dave Graham. The clerk will be moderating the meeting today, and we have Julie present. We also have in attendance Regional Councillor Foster. Thank you for attending, Councillor. Legislative Services staff, Trish Sarnecki and Aaron Plant, who is new to the town. This is Aaron's first meeting. Welcome, Aaron. And IT staff, Matt Guadalono and Devin Linton. As this is a virtual meeting, I will ask that we follow some procedures during this time. Should there be a connection or a service disruption for the chair, or if quorum is lost, the chair and/or clerk will call a 10-minute recess to reconnect and to regain quorum. If quorum is lost, the meeting will be adjourned. If connection is lost from the chair, deputy mayor or the vice chair will resume the meeting. And once reconnection is achieved, the chair will assume their role as convenient. Each member of council who wishes to speak, please raise the hand feature on the video. Please use that raise your hand feature. The clerk will track our speakers list and then invite you to speak when I open it for comments or questions. When I finish reading a motion and announcing the mover and seconder, the clerk will then call out the vote by reading each member of council's name out loud. Please remember to be aware at all time that when you need to take yourselves off mute during this meeting so that you can confirm if you are yay or nay. Also, when not speaking, please remember to put yourselves on mute. Do any members have any amendments to the order of the agenda? I see none, Madam Clerk. Are there any declarations of interest? I see no hands, Madam Clerk. We'll move on to item number 6, which is announcements by members. Please remember you have a limit of 3 items. Do members have any announcements?
Madam Mayor, we have Councillor Rajima.
All right. Councillor Njima.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Announcement from the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce
Counselor?
regarding. Yes?
Councillor, could you increase your volume?
How's that? Is that better?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you for pointing that out. Announcement from the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce regarding upcoming events. I'm very proud of the work that the Chamber has been able to do considering COVID restrictions and not being able to meet in person. Executive Director Anna Murray and the Outstanding Business Achievement Awards Committee pulled together an online event that was really well done, and I thought really had the spirit of the celebration that the event usually is when we get together and have dinner and review the nominees and slowly unfold the winning results. It was both professionally conducted and lighthearted enough to call it fun. I really enjoyed it, and having said that, I want to congratulate the winners. For the small business of the year is the August restaurant. Medium business of the year, Dillon's Small Batch Distillers. Large business of the year, Bench Brewing. Pathways to Opportunity Co-op Award, New Again Construction Essentials. 20 Valley Tourism Award of Distinction, Christmas in the Village, Vintage Hotels. The Community Partner Award goes to Jeanette Smith. And the Nonprofits Showcase Award went to the YWCA Niagara Region. If anyone didn't have a chance to watch the awards, you can watch it at your leisure on YouTube. Just look for it on YouTube or go to lincolnchamberofcommerce.ca and there's a link in there that you can use. Also, regarding the Mayor's Golf Tournament, progress has been made and decisions have been made. This year, the tournament will be held on September 21st and September 23rd and will be brought to you by the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce, the Town of Lincoln, and the Rotary Club of Lincoln, and as usual, with support from the Niagara Community Foundation. We're quite thankful to have continued commitment from our sponsors, but I also want all of you to know that there are a number of worthwhile sponsorship opportunities available. I believe the sponsorship form is being finalized, and when it is, I'll send it out to you, and I'm sure you'll see it online as well on social media. Other events for the Chamber that you can look forward to, and I will update you further as the dates approach. August 12th from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. will be another one of our fun virtual networking opportunities in the form of a business after 5. We're also in the process of planning the annual general meeting, of course, taking into consideration existing physical distancing restrictions and trying to anticipate what the coming months and fall of 2020 will look like. I will keep you up to date. And Madam Mayor, just one more update, and this is for those watching, I want to update as Chair of Community Services and Infrastructure that there was a recent commercial vehicle safety blitz conducted in West Niagara last week by the Niagara Regional Police Ministry of Transportation and the OPP. Director Graham provided council with an update, and I'll read that to you. A total of 41 trucks were inspected, 12 were placed out of service, 32 tickets issued for brakes, weight, insecure loads, and vehicle defects. 2 plates were seized and 2 tows. I did ask Director Graham if these numbers were a surprise, and unfortunately I'm told they're not. The good news is that these blitzes are being conducted. Well, we've been hearing about other issues related to traffic that seem to be on the rise, like increasingly noisy vehicles and, of course, speeding. Some of these changes in traffic issues are due to the changes in people's schedules because of the pandemic. All concerns we have been receiving are sent over to Public Works, and where appropriate, Niagara Regional Police are being made aware for monitoring and enforcement purposes. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And on behalf of Council, let us all send out our congratulations to all of the businesses that were nominated and those who were deemed to be the winners in 2020. It really was a fun evening, and I think that Anna Murray is probably in the wrong business overall. I think we could get her a job on some kind of a show where she needs to be constantly engaging. She really was quite excellent. Very difficult venue for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your comments about those difficulties. I'll be speaking about those as well. Madam Clerk.
The next up we have is Councillor Reimer.
Thank you. Councillor Reimer. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to Sarah Ain and the Town of Lincoln 50th Anniversary Committee. Obviously, when this committee was formed last year, I'm sure there was a lot of anticipation, excitement around 2020, the year of our 50th anniversary for Town of Lincoln. Parties and events and celebrations to plan. COVID threw us the curveball in March of this year. And that's all I want to say about that. We can go on lots of different things about that, but I just want to thank them for all the great work that has been done so far. I've received lots of positive feedback about the banners in all the town centers. On that from our SMT, also Julie and Terry and Andrea are on that committee too. So I just want to send them encouragement and support as they soldier on and look ahead and plan for the rest of this year. So thank you to them.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Very appropriate and considerate. And you certainly don't feel like you're in a slump from a social recovery perspective when you drive through the town of Lincoln. I think it's just great that you would
Definitely.
recognize them. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk.
Next up we have is Councillor Timmers.
Councillor Timmers.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. I also want to comment on the OBA awards by the Chamber. It was extremely well done, and I was really impressed when I was watching it, and I really enjoyed it. And I can't say enough about it. Anna certainly did a fantastic job hosting that. Also to Greg's comment regarding the 50th anniversary banners, they look fantastic. So I wanted to just give a very brief update about some work that Diane, Councillor Rajima and myself, and with the support of Shannon McKay and Sarah Ann, have been working on supporting vulnerable populations in Lincoln. We've been meeting now since the end of April, and our focus and purpose is to connect with as many services and providers and partners in our community who work with very vulnerable people who are living in vulnerable situations. And it's been greatly increased due to the varied pressures of COVID-19. And we're identifying gaps and possible places where we can provide assistance through services and programs that we offer already in the town of Lincoln. And to date, we've met with Cheryl Keddy from Village of Hope, Donna Harrington, the chair of the Joint Accessibility Committee, Carol Frewer, Community Care West Niagara, Pat Stones, Kim Rossi, Gary Bruce from the Employment Help Center, and Lindsay Dressel from Maple Crest Village. And these conversations are ongoing and very valuable as we move forward into the next phase and into the recovery of our community. I see this being something that we will be working on for a number of months to come. And I'll be bringing updates as we move forward. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Are there any areas that you require assistance from Council at the moment, or will that form part of your future report?
That will definitely be coming forward in the future reports as we identify some of the areas that we can offer assistance. So
thank you very much.
Coming soon, Mayor Easton.
These areas that you're talking about, Councillor, can often become quite invisible, as you know. So I compliment you all for the work that you're doing and the people that you're touching to keep them part of the community throughout this.
Thank you very much.
Madam Clerk.
Next up, we have Councillor Pachiriva.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. I just wanted to also highlight the Chamber's event. I thought it was dynamite. And wanted to thank you for allowing myself and Councillor McPherson to accompany you with Mr. McLeod on her visit last Saturday, June 20th. Great job by Mr. Deanny on the 4 stops that we made to highlight a little bit of what we do here in Lincoln. And Minister McLeod was very dynamic, willing to work with us, promised she would come back. So we've got to take her up on that. And one of the pieces of I guess, insight that she brought up was she's looking to reestablish some of the Ontario Travel Information Centers. So that leads into Mr. Deanne's discussion tonight about tourism. So maybe there's an opportunity in how she wanted to make them more dynamic and maybe offer wine in them. So I mean, this is just opens the door to what we have here in Lincoln to be able to showcase us as 2 million cars go by daily on the QEW, especially in the summer. And then I had an opportunity to sit in on a webinar. And I'm just bringing it up here on my phone because I clicked on it and I moved it. So basic income, the international response to COVID-19. In this webinar, Tom Cooper from the city of Hamilton kind of facilitated the discussion. Canadian Senator Kim Pate, U.S. Advocate Scott Santons, and RSA Scotland's Jamie Cook were all part of this. It was an exploration of basic income as a response to COVID-19 pandemic. They discussed the current political appetite for introducing this, and it would truly prevent everyone from falling through the cracks, which kind of dovetails into the work that Councillor Timmers and Councillor Rincham are doing with the most vulnerable. How to build more political will to introduce this as a permanent safety social net. So I'll have some of that, some of the learnings and thoughts that were quite provoking from that when we deal with my motion later on this evening. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. And now Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And breaking news hot off the press. So excited to announce that the 2020 Agritech Hackathon will be an entirely virtual event this year. So stay tuned for more info. And for those out there that are interested in registering for pre-registration. So that's it for me.
Just excellent, Councillor, because it truly shows that in Lincoln, we're dealing with the situation. We're supporting everyone as much as we can, but we're also moving forward. This is excellent. Very pleased to hear that. Thank you very much. All right, the next item on the agenda then is, now I have to find it. We're considering 7.1, which is the special council minutes of June 15, 2020. Do members of council have any questions or comments to the minutes? Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I just have a edit that I'd like to make to some of the comments under the items to be considered under special council meeting of council. And
I'm sorry, Councillor, is that on page 5 at the bottom?
I do not have the page number. I'm sorry.
Okay,
It's under
you talk,
that.
I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, that title, items to be considered under special council meeting of council, and it was my comments. And I'd like to make an edit to the first line in there to read, Councilor McPherson inquired about potential loss of municipal revenue due to fall programs, in brackets, hockey, etc., being delayed and or unable to start in 2020. The CAO committed to include potential forecasted impact in his July report to council. And then the rest of the comment can stay as it is. And I have passed this through to our clerk this afternoon, so she has a copy.
All right, very good.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You have those changes?
I do, and they're minor in nature, so I don't mind making those edits. It doesn't change what Councillor McPherson was saying. It's just clarifying it.
Very good, thank you. Now we have Councillor Rinchima.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm looking in the minutes for where it's mentioned what I'm going to talk about, but I can't find it at the moment, but it's pretty straightforward. Apologize for that.
Go ahead.
Okay. We have our first committee of the whole meeting on July 13th, which means we will incorporate within that meeting a planning and economic development meeting, during which we may have planning related applications for which a public meeting is anticipated. In the minutes, the question was raised regarding our readiness to run meetings with public input. be it virtually or in person. And the response was that we're going to be able to, or that we're expecting to be ready to conduct public meetings in July. So my question is, do we have planning applications coming to the July 13th meeting? And will there be a public participation component?
All right, Mr. Kirkopoulos, I'm going to direct this to you, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think the simple answer to the question that the councillor posed is yes, councillor. We are anticipating being ready for that meeting. Staff just had a conversation this morning, Ms. Dale, Ms. Kirkopoulos, and I, and that is our goal. But I will let Julie and or Kathleen both chime in because they can, I think, explain in a little bit more detail for council what the plans are. I think one of the comments I made at the previous meeting around engagement is it will look different. There will be a responsibility both on staff and residents who are delegating to engage with the process, albeit a little bit differently. And so it's going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of a learning curve, I think, for residents, but staff are there to help facilitate, assist, and find any way possible to make sure that public comments are received from residents who may have a particular issue or may want to discuss a particular item and speak either in favor or against it. So maybe I'll turn it over to Julie and then Kathleen.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. So through the mayor to the councillor, we are working with IT right now. We're also working with other IT services and other municipalities for their best practice approach for those who have begun their statutory public hearing process. And there's a few different things that we have that have come to light, and we are working through those things right now. So in order to be accessible, I think I mentioned that at our last meeting, councillor, to make sure that we're offering electronic, telephone, as well as written comments. So making sure that whatever format these delegation submissions come in, that we're able to receive them. So we're making sure that we can do that. Now, whether that's a delegation or whether that's for a statutory public hearing. I'll hand it over to Kathleen in regards to the planning applications themselves. But you know, I'm just ensuring that we're prepared should anybody want to come and delegate. So it doesn't matter that it's a public hearing or just a straight up delegation to an item on an agenda.
Madam Clerk, it isn't necessary for us to look at the specifics of the applications or how many. I'm just going to check with Councillor Rinjima. The process question that you asked, Councillor, has it been satisfied?
Yes, I'm satisfied. I'm wondering, my concern more is that planning applications are moving along and that we're able to hold these meetings, and I'm hearing that we are. So I don't need specifics. You're right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. We'll move on then to the motion. I have a motion moved by Councillor Brunet and seconded by Councillor Reimer. Approve the minutes of the following meetings of council, special council minutes of June 15th, 2020. Madam Clerk, would you call the vote?
Thank you. Councillor Brunet.
Yay.
Councillor McPherson.
Yay.
Councillor Miklick.
Yay.
Councillor Pachariva.
Yay.
Councillor Reimer.
Yay.
Councillor Rajima.
Yay?
Councillor Russell.
Yay.
Councillor Timmers.
Yay.
Mayor Easton.
Yay.
And that carries.
Members, as a result of town hall closures and social distancing guidelines being in place, in-person public attendance at special council meetings is not currently available. This is quite relevant to the question that Councillor Rinjima asked earlier. Tonight we have 3 delegations joining by video. Please note that each delegation may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes, and the clerk will be notifying you when your time limit has been reached. I'm going to, if you'll bear with me. The 3 delegations are, starting with Michelle Harris, Director, Economic and Community Development, Municipality of Grey Highlands, delegating to report on AD-05-20 Tourism and Wayfinding Update. Secondly, Matt Giffen, Founder and President of Bench Brewing, delegating to report AD 05-20 Tourism and Wayfinding Update. And Norm Beal, President, Peninsula Ridge Estates Winery and Restaurant, delegating to report AD 05-20 Tourism and Wayfinding Update. However, before the delegations begin, I know that our CAO and our Economic Development Officer have a few comments to share. Mr. CAO, if you will.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I will really turn it over to Paul, but I did want to welcome our guests, Michelle, Matt, and Norm. Two of those individuals, both Norm and Matt, are no strangers to this council and to our community in terms of everything they've done. And you're also going to hear from Michelle, who's got a significant amount of experience in this particular area and has worked with Paul on a number of items as it pertains to tourism in terms of sharing her experience. But we are at an exciting juncture right now in terms of where we're at with the strategy. A little bit delayed because of COVID, but happy to be in front of you. Again, I think tourism and what tourism means to our post-COVID success and what it means to this particular area, I can't emphasize enough what it means and what it will mean moving forward. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Paul and then our three speakers.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Mr. Deani.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Mr. CEO. Thank you for that. And I'd just like to join the CEO in welcoming our three guests this evening. Mr. Beal and Mr. Giffen, of course, need no introduction to council and our distinguished citizens watching from home. They are a longstanding members of our community in the tourism space and have done a wonderful job building businesses locally that really contribute to our overall tourism offerings. If I may, I'm just going to give a little bit longer introduction for Michelle Harris, who is currently the Director of Economic and Community Development with Grey Highlands. Prior to joining that, Michelle did work at Headwaters Tourism, which is the regional tourism organization from her area, and was instrumental in really getting that organization up and running. And she'll have a little bit more information to say about that. In addition to the fact that that organization has currently, due to challenges, closed its doors, but Michelle is really a big fan of the regional tourism model that we're trying to build here in Lincoln, and she'll have some great things to say about the regional model, in addition to some of the the learnings that we can have from the Headwaters tourism experience. And if I may beg your worship, I think Mr. Beal does need to leave quickly, so I was just wondering if by vote we can have Mr. Beal actually speak first.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, Madam Clerk, would you attend to the vote on that matter?
Sure. With a show of hands, would council be in favor of amending the delegation list? And that carries.
Thank you very much. Well, Mr. Beal, would you please come forward and address us this evening? How was the wine, by the way?
Well, I'm still waiting, Mayor, but thanks for asking. No, thank you very much for moving me up on the agenda. I didn't expect it, but I did actually start my holidays this morning, but it hasn't turned out to be much of a holiday yet. So right after this, I think I'll officially kick them off. So Madam Mayor and members of the council, thank you for letting me appear before you today to comment on this extremely important initiative. By way of introduction, my name is Norm Beal. I'm the president of Peninsula Ridge Estates Winery. Peninsula Ridge is a fully integrated business operation that incorporates all aspects of the value chain, from grape growing, wine manufacturing, wholesale sales and distribution, and retailing. We also own and operate a casual fine dining restaurant and event facility. Although we have broad distribution for all our products, including LCBO, grocery, on-premise, and export, over a third of our revenue is generated through tourism-related activity here on site. Additionally, like other wine regions globally, the on-site tourism component of our operation is critically important to building our brand both domestically and abroad. I want to briefly jump, Mayor and councilors, to COVID-19. I have been immersed in this now for many months, 4 months, in other roles, and all certainly with how we've had to adapt here at Peninsula Ridge. I want to start off by saying that COVID-19, as you know, has been devastating to the tourism sector, not only here, but across the province and across the country. The effects of the COVID-19 pandemic have truly been devastating to our local tourism providers and to the local wine industry. As an example, 35% of EQA wine produced in the province is sold through on-premise restaurant channels, which disappeared in March and will be very slow to recover. And you can imagine the decline in sales through winery storefronts in both the town of Lincoln and throughout Niagara and Ontario, as we went through phase 1 of this pandemic and are slowly reopening in phase 2. I'm sure it'll be still some time before we feel comfortable about relaxing the restrictions further. So it's going to take some time to recover. As you probably know, consumer perceptions research on COVID-19 by several polling agencies, including Ipsos and others, paint a very long road recovery, even with effective strategies to get people out of isolation and back to normal. There will be casualties, but growth in tourism over the short term and medium term will be critical to helping stabilize this sector. The recovery will be challenging, but we must begin now. Like you, I wear several hats, which includes the CEO of Food and Beverage Ontario. Food and Beverage Ontario represents the largest manufacturing sector in Ontario, employing over 125,000 people, creating over 40 billion in GDP, while utilizing 65% of Ontario's high quality agricultural outputs to produce healthy and safe value food for all Ontarians. I sit on several ministerial committees charged with restarting the economy. The jobs and recovery plan that the provincial government is focused on can really be broken down into 3 basic components. Stabilization, which is the component we're in now, of course. Shockproofing, which is really a part of the initial recovery plan, and then supercharging. The implementation of an effective tourism strategy will immediately be begin addressing all of these, but will have the largest impact on the final phase, which is really supercharging the economy. The tourism in Lincoln is not only a huge opportunity, but it's critical to the long-term health and well-being of our local economy. A comprehensive tourism strategy is an important economic driver, and is not only needed, but is long overdue. The Lincoln Destination Tourism Strategy and Action Plan 2020-2025, Pathways to a Prosperous Tourism Sector, is well thought out and comprehensive strategy resulting from broad consultations with stakeholders. I want to tell you, Madam Mayor, that your team did extensive work on this, extensive consultation, and they got it right. They've done an excellent job, and I know that you're very proud of them. I just want to say, really in closing, and maybe leave a few moments for questions, that Peninsula Ridge fully supports this action plan and looks forward to working with the town of Lincoln on its speedy implementation. Thank you very much for hearing me out, and I'm welcome to address any questions that councillors may have.
Thank you very much, Norm. We very much appreciate your participating in this entire process. You had a lot to offer, and I'll open it up now. Councillors, if you would raise your hands if you have questions of Mr. Beal. Councillor Mikulik.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Mr. Beal, thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you for your advice, your opinions, and your thoughts on this tourism strategy. There's a particular slide where you mentioned that there will be casualties. That's a painful word to hear and to especially see. I'm just curious, is there a particular size, sector, type of winery or industry that you see is in trouble? And how could we help if we could?
Yeah, I think that's a very, very good question, Councillor, and thank you very much for asking it. Within the wine sector, I think wineries that are most exposed don't particularly participate heavily in wholesale channels. I can tell you many of the wholesale wineries that do participate in the LCBO and grocery have actually seen sales increases to some extent. Many of these smaller wineries rely 100% on their cellar door activity. And of course, for several months, they were completely shut down. I'm also very concerned about the grape growing industry. As I mentioned earlier in my comments, about 38% of the VQA wine sold in Ontario is sold through the restaurant chains. They've been closed. We're back into slow reopening. Toronto was just opened up last week, but those restaurants now can really only open through their patio operations, very, very reduced capacity. So that's going to create a real backlog on grapes this year. I've mentioned this to both Minister Hardeman, Minister Phillips, and other folks, Minister Thompson, who all have a keen interest in this area, because right now I can see us, seeing anywhere from a 15 to 25,000 ton surplus, which is unfortunate because, as you know, by just monitoring the weather outside, we're in for one of the best vintages we've had in probably 20 years. So I'm very, very concerned about the small wineries. I'm also very concerned about grape growers in general. This surplus could add up to somewhere between $30 and $40 million. And unfortunately, I would love to take it if I had the capacity for it, but of course, my sales are down, no tourism, no restaurant business. And I only have so much capacity to be able to bring in grapes that I don't really need. So I'm very, very concerned about that.
Yeah, thank you for that explanation, Mr. Beal. It's just, I've seen small wineries, I've seen large wineries, I've seen wineries of all sizes fail over the years. It's just something I really hate to hear, especially during this time. And, it's always valuable to listen to the opinions of those that know the most about that sector. So thank you.
I would like to say that we've made senior officials all across the Ontario government very aware of this potential pitfall. And I think we are getting some good reaction from senior government officials right to the Premier's office. They recognize the risk and the problem, and hopefully we'll see some plans put in place to address them.
Councillor Mikulik, are you satisfied?
Yes, I am, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I see no other questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Beal, for coming and delegating to Council tonight. This is a very important report that we have before us. And thank you for sharing a few hours of your holidays.
No worries. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on then. And if we're on track now, I believe that Michelle Harris is going to be our next speaker. Michelle, we haven't met. You haven't met the council prior to this evening, but welcome to Lincoln. And obviously, if you're here, you're representing best practice. And so we're very interested in hearing what you have to say, particularly around tourism and wayfinding. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mayor and Council. I'm delighted to be here with you this evening. I was, in fact, in Jordan on February 20th as one of the speakers at the Provincial Tourism Issues Forum that you hosted. And I think that might have been my last big adventure prior to this global pandemic that we're all now dealing with. First and foremost, I want to applaud you for continuing to move forward with your tourism strategy. As was just alluded to, tourism has been one of the hardest industries hit. And I think the only way we're going to come out of this is by being forward thinking and addressing the issues head on so that our businesses come out strong and resilient on the other side of this. As Paul mentioned, and I've been delighted to have many conversations with Paul over your tourism strategy, I served as the CEO of a destination marketing organization called Headwaters Tourism for almost 9 years. The organization that I represented was indeed a regional one. We represented 11 municipalities representing 4 different counties over 2,534 square kilometer geography. We were also in the long shadow of Toronto, which presented challenges, and frankly, regionalism was the only way we felt we could compete in that tourism marketplace. Regionalism and collaboration was the key to our success. We learned very on that no one group or municipality could do this on their own. We also were very clear and worked very hard to understand that we needed to focus on the needs of the visitor. I know a lot of us call this industry the tourism industry, but it's really important. And I think you've done that in your strategy, but we need to always keep the needs of the visitor first and foremost. In my mind, sometimes I think we're better served to talk about the visitor economy rather than the tourism industry, because it keeps us focused on who we're serving and why we're doing it. There's a couple of things I just wanted to sort of reiterate, which I know you know already, but when we're talking about visitors, we need to remember some things about them particularly. First and foremost, they travel for the experience. Unless you are a place like Paris or the Caribbean, very few people anymore choose to say, I'm going to this town or this village. They're going for the experience. And obviously your tourism strategy is focused very strongly on tourism and experiences for your visitor. They are also seeking synergistic experiences, remembering the 4-to-1 rule of travel that Roger Brooks talks about all the time, who was once considered the tourism guru. Visitors need 4 times the amount of activity for every unit of time traveled. So if somebody travels 2 hours to get to a destination, that means they would need a minimum of 8 hours of activity to engage them. We know that small communities on their own often have trouble delivering that 4 times rule. They may have a beautiful element of an experience, but it's not enough to satisfy that need of the visitor. As we all know as well, that visitors don't recognize municipal boundaries. Tourism is complex. It's hard for any one municipality to do it all. Destination development is often the best way to define or label the process that we are all engaged in. As you start to look at this, the role and function of each party in this journey is important. A strong destination marketing organization is the intermediary between all levels and stakeholders in this tourism continuum. They go from the one side, from the businesses, all the way over to the national tourism agencies, and they disseminate that information back and forth. But my experience tells me that the best regional approach for tourism is when municipalities are actively engaged in the process. The municipality has a key role to play in tourism. The DMO, or Destination Marketing Organization, looks at the visitor experience and tourism broadly and holistically, but the municipal role is to make sure that a community is well positioned within the destination framework and the story. They need to work on infrastructure, product development, visitor services, making sure that they advocate for their businesses in the community and working with the DMO to ensure that their interests are represented. When I was the CEO at Headwaters, the municipalities that were best positioned within the DMO were those who had an active and full-time person focusing on tourism. Tourism could not be the side of the desk file. It needed to be the focus. Tourism is complex. I know it sounds like great fun and the end product is, but tourism and destination development is complex and it takes time. Experts say that good destination development takes up to 2 years. And the key to success in my mind is a strong relationship between all parties working at the table and working to support a strategy. So I applaud you on the work you've done and how you framed this. And I look forward to seeing how it all plays out. And I am more than happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle. And we have a couple of councillors on the list, starting with Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Michelle, for sharing those thoughts. A couple things I took down here. Certainly, the visitor economy. Haven't heard that term, but pondering that thought. It certainly I think a good way to look at it. The whole idea around 4 times the amount of activity for every hour that they spend traveling to the destination. That is a very interesting point of view. Now, the question I'm going to ask you is maybe about what learnings we could take out of the close of the office that you were part of and then left. I assume it was because they lost a very good person and that they couldn't maintain, but maybe there's something in there for us to learn as well.
Thank you, Councillor McPherson. Through the mayor to yourself and the rest of council, I think there are some learnings there. The Headwaters Tourism had been around for 25 years. They celebrated their 25th anniversary in 2019. Over that time, over the 25 years, as anybody who's got business experience knows, there are continuums. And it seems like every 8 years that organization went through, a struggle, and then it rose back up. The good news about the demise of Headwaters Tourism, I would like to think, is that all of our municipal partners, all 11 of them, probably believed in the value of tourism more than they ever did. And I think I applaud them for that. When the organization started 25 years ago, way before my time, tourism was aside. Yeah, we'll throw a few dollars at them and deal with tourism. I think they actively believed in the power of tourism, and they all took tourism in-house at the end, which I think was good. What personally I believe they're going to lose is that regional approach. And when I talked at the beginning of my remarks tonight, I talked about the fact that municipalities don't, visitors don't recognize municipal boundaries, and they need that 4-to-1 activity ratio to the time traveled. None of the municipalities that are partners in Headwaters, my instinct tells me they're committed to tourism. I'm not sure they're going to have the resources enough to have any impact on their own. And if you look globally around tourism, I always often refer to the West Coast of Ireland. The best tourism, especially in rural destinations, seems to thrive when there is a regional approach. We're all dealing with large geographies and unique experiences. And I really, really wholeheartedly believe in that approach to tourism. And that's why I was disappointed that it didn't carry on. I think there were budgetary concerns with this. It was funded on a per capita basis. I think there was some leadership challenges. And I think some of that goes, if I were going to give you my 2 cents worth on that, to make sure that as you develop your DMO, that you make sure you have a very strong board of directors who are advocating and championing for tourism. And that includes not just municipal representatives around the table, but strong industry leadership. And given that you have 2 speakers tonight who are speaking from the industry point of view, I think that's a really good sign. I think that was probably one of the failings of Headwaters at the end. A lot of the business partners stepped away and tended to turn it over to the municipal governments on their own. And I don't think that's enough. What we're talking about here is a P3 partnership, public-private partnership. And that when you have strong advocates on both sides, I believe that's where the success comes.
It's great to hear. And you're absolutely right. We are very fortunate that we do have a very engaged business community. And I mean, they've been involved since the beginning, since we really started this program. So I could probably talk to you for quite a while, but one of the areas that I'm sure Paul has talked to you about is measuring success and how do you do that? But we won't get into that tonight. But thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. And Paul has my contact information if anybody wants to reach out at any time.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor McPherson. Of course, the evaluation is a very big part of the town's role in this new model for sure. We now have, Michelle, we now have Councillor Tony Brunet. Councillor Brunet.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't really have a question for Michelle, but I do recall, because I was present back 4 months down at Inn on February the 20th, when you, Michelle, were a guest speaker. And I remember your passion, and I remember how frank you were and how open and candid you were with your conversations, sharing your experiences being on the private sector as a CEO at Headwaters, and now as a director in economic and community development at Grey Highlands. So I said to our director of economic development, Paul Deaney, as soon as I saw you in the delegation, I said, I remember Michelle. She made a definite impact on me that day. So I just want to thank you for taking the time to be a delegate, and I'm sure you have been a sounding board for Paul Deaney over the last number of months, because you were a wealth of information and very passionate. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Brunet. And now we have, Michelle, we have Councillor Mikulik. Councillor Mikulik, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Michelle Harris, thank you very much for coming tonight and participating. It really resonated to me what you said about the 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour type drives and what the expectation is from the tourist. I feel like I do quite a bit of driving and traveling throughout. And the question I'm going to ask of you in your professional experience, like what sort of, being where we are, located where we are, where is there a particular segment where we should focus more time and resources to in terms of target audience? Is it a 1 hour target? Is it a 2 hour, 3 hour? It's always going to be the population of the mass, but the wonder that I have is that 1 hour population already familiar with us? Should we be focusing on, like, what would you be your guesstimate on that?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, to Councillor Mikulik and Council. Tricky one, but I always say you can never ignore your audience in your own community and within that 1 hour drive. They are your first ambassadors, and as are your business owners. So making sure that your business owners, both in the tourism sector and more broadly, are well familiar with what your offerings are, I would say was probably one of your first lines of engagement, because they become, you stop at a gas station and they're talking to people who are coming from near and far out in the area. What you do get a better advantage with as you start to go further afoot from your travel distances. So I'll give you an example if you will indulge me. When I was working in Headwaters, we had some significant golf products, some of the best golf courses ranked in Ontario in a fairly small density. And we worked really, really hard, given that we had the largest urban market in the country, an hour and 15 minutes south of us. We really tried to create a golf trail and to get people to come and play multiple courses in a day and stay over. And that proximity to that large urban market was a huge advantage because of, they were there. The biggest challenge we had is they were only an hour and a quarter from our destination. So they were quite willing to drive in for the day, play their round of golf, grab a sausage or a burger on the course or when they were leaving, and then go back home. What you get from visitors who come further afoot, and there's statistics out there that talk about the multiple, but when you're coming from further afoot, your visitors traditionally spend more money. They don't pack, a lunch in the car. They oftentimes stay overnight, which is where your real sweet spot stays. So given that we're living in uncertain and unprecedented times right now, and we do know that global travel is going to be down. They're talking about the tourism industry in Canada not recovering till about 2023 or 2024. I would suggest a nearer market might be something you want to consider, but I would try to not make it too near. I would say at least 2 hours. Don't ignore those in your own community and in your own backyard and within that 1 hour. But if I were focusing my marketing efforts, I would be trying to draw people from a little further afoot.
Thank you for that response. I think that I would agree with you. I think it, especially with COVID, I think we have an opportunity to, I consider people living in Ontario to be quality tourists. And by having them not able to travel abroad or even across the border, I feel we're at a time where we can encourage tourism within their own backyard or within an hour's 2 drive. So I appreciate your comments. And
absolutely. And if I may, the geography of Ontario, as we know, my daughter for a number of years lived in Red Lake, Ontario. Driving from our home here to Red Lake one year when we went to visit her was 22 hours. I could have been in Nova Scotia in the same amount of time. We have a massive market in Ontario. And while there are a lot of challenges because of COVID and this global pandemic, there are opportunities as well. And if we could all take advantage of our own Ontario market and get people moving around, I suspect there is a lot of tourism revenue that you could be generating in Lincoln for your businesses.
I love that positive attitude. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Mikulik. Now we're going to move on to the third delegation. And in this case, it is Matt Giffen, who's the founder and president of Bench Brewing. And he is also going to be delegating on this report. Hello, Matt. Thanks very much for joining us.
Hello, Madam Mayor. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. Hello, Council. It's always a pleasure to see you, if not virtually. I'm here today, obviously in support of the tourism strategy for Lincoln, but I wear 2 hats. The first one will be as treasurer of the TVTA, and the other one will be as my role as founder of Bench Brewing. So as my role as treasurer of the TVTA, I've been in the TVTA now for 3 years. This was my last year. I was asked in the summer, or last summer of 2019, to assume the role of treasurer, which I accepted. And the first thing that I thought we needed to do, and that we all agreed on the board, was to do a forensic of all our accounts payable, accounts receivable, bad debts, effectively all the financial statements that we had. We did so. We did so with the idea of bringing transparency to all members so that we could make decisions with all the facts. I presented a treasurer's report to the board in September of last year with an idea of where I saw the numbers. Not being a CPA, I did caveat that, but to the best of my ability, we had that information. What I think that did is it was a catalyst for us as a board to think more clearly with respect to the real benefits of the tourism strategy for Lincoln. And as Michelle said, the P3, the public-private partnership hybrid model that was being discussed. In the discussions that we had, obviously Councillor Timmers, Mike Kirkopoulos, and Paul Gianni present, it became apparent that was the way forward. Culminating in our December board meeting, where we unanimously voted in favor of TVTA transitioning into the new DMO model as presented by the tourism strategy for Lincoln. That was in December. We were to have a meeting, I believe it was March, which was canceled. And in our last meeting on June 16th, the TVTA, after further discussion and discussion that occurred also with Paul and Mike in various Zoom meetings, we decided and voted unanimously again to now begin the process to establish an MOU that basically outlines indeed this transition of the TVTA to this new DMO, again, approved and supported unanimously. So suffice to say, the TVTA is supportive of this. Again, I'm a relatively new member. It's been around a long time. The TVTA has done many great things for Lincoln. And without it, I think we would have had a real dearth of marketing of all the great things that we have in Lincoln. So that's my spiel with respect to the TVTA, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions with respect to that. The other is my role as a founder of Bench, a member of the business community here in Lincoln, a fortunate member of the business community to be in Lincoln. I was also fortunate to be part of this process, due diligence process, as we've gone through formulating this tourism strategy for Lincoln. I will say I was very impressed with the detailed and methodical approach by everyone concerned, and with that, the engagement of all parts of the community. That, I think, spoke volumes as to how this DMO will be, and being that public-private partnership. I think that was critical. So I applaud that. I learned things that I guess I knew but didn't. An example being the incredible success of Prince Edward County, and how after a revamped and improved DMO, the success that they've created in terms of increased tourism traffic and really just a great story. And I'd like to think with the tourism assets that we have in Lincoln, I think we can write a greater story. But that was one thing that really came out for me in all of our discussions. I would say I would support what Norm Beal has said, that tourism is extremely important to many of us in the area. We're just over a third of our revenue comes from customer traffic in our tap room, both in the restaurant as well as our bottle shop. So extremely important. Any increase in that destination traffic obviously leads to more sales, expansion, growth, and more jobs. So I think it's extremely important. COVID has made this even more important. We've been using the term survive, revive, and thrive, and that's kind of been our focus over the last 3 to 4 months. Fortunately, we're past the survive, and now we're into revive. And revive is kind of putting to bear all the lessons learned over the last 3.5 months, and there have been quite a few, and most of them positive. To then have the support of this new DMO and the strategy and what that will accomplish, I think will be hugely important for all of the businesses in Lincoln as we are in that transition from revive to thrive. And I think that this is the platform couldn't be better timed in my personal opinion. So in closing, on behalf of the Bench team, certainly other business owners in the town of Lincoln that I've spoken to, I fully support this tourism strategy for Lincoln. I think it's great. I applaud the efforts of Paul Deaney, Mike Kirkopoulos, and council for this foresight and dynamic approach to tourism. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt. And we have first up, Councillor Russell. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Matt, for that those comments. The one thing I want to just quickly ask you about was about that transition from revive to thrive that you mentioned. And again, because we're coming through this pandemic, and there is a lot of pressure on the residents and the people that would be targeting within that probably 2-hour radius in the immediate future. How do we balance the messaging of destinational tourism and also maybe trying to find what maybe that value add can be on behalf of the private sector? Like, has there been any discussion amongst the TVTA members about how they also attract customers, clientele with some sort of extra value that might be perceived as a carrot to kind of get them into this area.
Yeah, I certainly. Oh, sorry. Through Madam
Go
Mayor,
ahead.
to you,
Go
Councillor
ahead.
Russell. Sorry. I definitely believe that tourism is going to look a lot differently over the next 3 to 6 months. I think tourism will be that hour to 2 hours as opposed to a trip overseas or other parts of the world. I think there's a real opportunity for us in Lincoln to really leverage that going forward. I think one of the things that we're focused on now and we'll be presenting through social media over the next 24 to 48 hours is we want people to know that by coming to where we're located, coming to our establishment, that they will be safe, that we will do whatever we can with respect to improve cleaning, but most importantly, new safety protocols to ensure that all people coming to bench are safe, that the people that are coming are the ones that want to go out and they want to experience new unique tourism experiences, but can do so with safety and also basically catering to all different tourists. So then we're also going to continue to have a curbside pickup. And I use only bench examples, and I'm sure there are better ones than these. But we're also going to have that curbside pickup for folks that perhaps don't want to come in to actually come into the tap room, don't feel comfortable yet, and really just want to come by and support local businesses through purchases of beer or wine or whatever's offered from all your artisans in Lincoln and take home. And that's great too. So for us, it's about getting that message out that, come the 2-hour drive, you're going to spend 8 hours going to incredible wineries and places around, and it's at your pace. If you want to be safe, that's fine. We're going to provide that for you. I hope that, I don't know if that answered your question, but that's kind of where we're focused. Safety first is everything we're thinking about at the moment.
No, that's
Go ahead,
excellent.
Councillor.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Timmers.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. I just want to thank Matt for coming this evening and for your comments and for the work that you've done on the TVTA in the last 3 years. It's been very much appreciated, and in working out those numbers and those financials, and to Paul and Mike as well for your support on TVTA always. I really believe the tourism strategy cannot come at a better time for us. And when we're looking to recovery, this is going to really be significant. It's going to help boost those locals. Like you said, people are not going to be traveling far. They're going to be going on road trips to places that aren't that far from home. And there'll be, our locals that are staying in home as well, staying put. So I really see this opportunity as something that we truly need and will help really boost sales for our local businesses, create jobs. That's our outcomes that we're hopeful for. And also the partnership that we'll have to establish, in creating our DMO, we're going to need accommodations, and hopefully partnering with bigger communities that have accommodations already. So that will kind of open that door for us as well. They can come and tour and visit us and then stay down the road a little ways. So it's just a very exciting initiative, and I look forward to seeing it roll out. Anyway, thank you very much, Matt. I don't have any questions. I just wanted to thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And we now have Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Matt, for sharing your comments tonight. I think the comments that you made with regards to the TVTA are especially meaningful. Thinking about that organization and the years that it's been the lead DMO for our town, and there is, I'm sure, somewhat of an ownership of marketing within some of the older board members that. With your comments tonight, it shows that the old TVTA or the TVTA is quite willing to partner with the town and to move in a direction together. So great to hear those comments, and again, appreciate you sitting in with us tonight.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Mikulik.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Mr. Giffen. Again, thank you from behalf of myself for coming tonight, providing your expertise on this and your contributions to the board, the TTBA board. In your professional, you as a business owner seem to know how to draw tourists to your nation. And I find that, and I feel that you have a wonderful social media platform. How important do you think, what's your estimation, like how important do you think that the social media platform, be it TripAdvisor, be it Twitter, be it Facebook, how important do you think that piece is to this strategy, along with the wayfinding and the DMO?
Madam Mayor, through you to Councillor Mikulik. Yeah, great question. Certainly the demographic that we find as our customer base, social media is key. It's critical. We use all platforms, some more than others. Instagram would be larger than say Twitter for us. But I would say, in terms of getting the news out about all of the unique tourist experiences here in Lincoln, social media will be critical. We've talked about that at the TVTA with respect to creation of a proper functioning, scalable website, having social media drive traffic into the website, which then allows people to understand all the businesses that are in Lincoln in one website forum. So yeah, I couldn't go on more about how important social media is for this strategy.
Are you satisfied, Councillor?
And if I may, just another to pick your professional mind. Do you find social media to be more important, even more so than say newsprint or radio, TV media? Are you finding that trend is growing?
Mayor Easton, through you to Councillor Mikulik. There is an anomaly in Niagara with radio, and we have had fun and success with the radio advertising that we've been doing. There's a lot of people local folks that listen to radio, and so we've really embraced that. I would say newsprint, TV, not at all. It's not really even on our radar. We are purchasing space and drawing traffic on Facebook as well as other platforms, which has been very beneficial. The bang for your buck in purchasing that traffic, at least people coming in and seeing what you have to offer is worth way more than I think if we put an article in a newspaper. But radio is interesting in this area, and we will continue to be doing that.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you very much for your insights. I look forward to stopping by one of these hot afternoons and doing a personal inspection myself.
I look forward to seeing it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mikulik. We now have Councillor Pachariva.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship, and thanks, Matt, for coming, and congratulations on your Chamber Award. It was well deserved, and you actually touched on my question, which was going to be about radio. Is that you guys do such an excellent job on marketing yourselves to the locals. The locals are sustainability, and it's the tourists that are the gravy. And you've realized that, and you hit it to a T. And you've got to do that balance between social media, but also what works in the marketplace. So, and again, Michelle pointed out it to us. We might think that the locals know the landscape, but we really don't know what's in our own backyard. It was funny, was golfing this morning, and my neighbor said, he goes, geez, we stopped at the Comfort Maple for the first time on Saturday, and it's 15 minutes away. So it's that constant repetition of, we're here. And then it's the business owners and our role as council and residents' roles to be cheerleaders and take them to your favorite spots. So just wondering, Matt, if, how you can build upon your strengths to kind of get the TVTA or the new DMO back to that. You know, don't ignore what's in your own backyard, because that's your sustainability. And then they'll be your biggest cheerleaders, because you guys do such a great job of it.
Any
Thank you.
comments?
Madam Mayor, through you to Councillor Pachariva. Yeah, I completely agree with what you said, and locals are the most important in terms of business that happens all year round. I think, and I believe a lot of businesses in Lincoln do this, but it's really investing in the community, picking philanthropic partners, working with them to give back to the community and do so in a way that is meaningful for the town and for people that reside there as well. So that's something that we're focused on. And I think that it's just part of our culture, but I think it's important. And I think a lot of other businesses are doing so.
Yeah, and if I may, through you, your worship, I mean, Matt, you're a shining star when it comes to that. I mean, you have stepped to the forefront in COVID along with Dylan's. I mean, you get it. And we're proud to have you as part of our community. And thank you very much. And just keep doing what you're doing, because it's working. But just when's that Lincoln Lager coming back? I got to have some. So
next week.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
Pleasure.
All right. Thank you very much, Councillor Pachariva. And I think we've had an excellent round of delegations and presentations on a very, very important policy direction for our community. I have a motion moved by Councillor McPherson and seconded by Councillor Rajima, that council receive and file as information the following delegations regarding report AD-05-20, Tourism and Wayfinding Update. Michelle Harris, Director, Economic and Community Development, Municipality of Grey Highlands. Matt Giffen, Founder and President of Bench Brewing. Norm Beal, President, Peninsula Ridge Estates Winery and Restaurant. Madam Clerk, if you would call the vote.
Thank you. Councillor Brunei.
Yay.
Councillor McPherson.
Yay.
Councillor Micklet.
Yay.
Thank you. Councillor Pachariva.
Yay.
Councillor Reimer.
Yay.
Councillor Rajima.
Yay.
Councillor Russell.
Yay.
Councillor Timmers.
Yay.
Mayor Easton.
Yay.
And that carries.
Now, council members, we move on to the report itself, report AD-05-20. And I'd like to call on Mr. Deanne, our Economic Development Officer, to provide a brief overview. Mr. Deanne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And by brief overview, I think we're going to be turning to a presentation this evening. So I'm going to be asking the clerk to put that up on the screen, if I may. And while she does, I just want to publicly thank our three speakers for coming this evening. I know Mr. Giffen and Mr. Beal and Ms. Harris are quite busy in their day-to-day roles, so I greatly appreciate their comments and support this evening.
Thank you very much.
Can you confirm that you can see it?
I can see it.
I can see it, yes.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk, and Madam Mayor, through you to the council and committee this evening. We are here presenting on step 5 of the project, that is the Tourism Strategy Gateways and Wayfinding Project. This slide here definitely shows the different progressions that we've had through this project, and we're obviously at stage 5 or step 5, where we're asking for council approval. And really, what I want to turn your direction to right now is the numbers on the bottom left-hand side of the screen here. We had a number of meetings, stakeholder workshops, public meetings, a couple of workshops with the mayor and council. We had an online survey, both directed to the business community and the members of the public. And on that survey, we received over 200 responses. In addition, we did close to 46 interviews, both phone interviews and in person. The overarching theme here on this slide is really this strategy was a well thought out strategy that was not done in silos. We did some extensive consultations with our our public and private sector partners here in the community to really come up with this strategy. And I think, as you heard from our delegations this evening, we have broad support throughout the community and our tourism companies and businesses on the direction that we're taking on the tourism strategy. So overarching, we are here presenting the final plan on the strategy, and I know our consultants wanted to be with us this evening, but obviously in essence of timing, we decided to go with just myself. So I hope you bear with me as we present through these slides. But at the end of the day, we've come up with a good strategy that I'm very excited to be bringing to council this evening. Madam Clerk, next slide. All right, so why a tourism strategy for the town of Lincoln? As was mentioned throughout this entire process, which really actually began 3 years ago, if I can take us back to the development of the economic development strategy for the town of Lincoln, which really identified tourism as being one of the largest components of our community and one of the ways that we could really grow our economy locally. So, we started with the tourism or the economic development strategy. We're now making our way through to the tourism strategy. And this was a well-purposed and thought-out plan that we'll be presenting tonight. So overarching, what was the, why tourism strategy for the town of Lincoln? Well, it's to clearly define the role of the town in the tourism sector, to attract new investment, to evaluate the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities in Lincoln, to strengthen and grow the local economy, and to create and sustain more jobs for our community. In addition, to develop that long-term tourism goals and objectives, and of course, to create the 5-year action plan for implementing the tourism strategy. Next slide, Madam Clerk. So the case for tourism in Lincoln. Well, I mean, as you well know, we have a high number of tourism-related jobs in the community. So in 2019, that was close to 1,700 jobs. It is one of the fastest growing segments of our overall economy. So we've seen 11% increase in tourism jobs since 2015, and that's a 17.9% increase in Niagara overall. As you know, and I've said this many times before, we do have a high concentration of craft beverage manufacturing jobs in our community, and that's 22 times the provincial average, which shows you the high importance of the beverage sector, that's both wine, beer, and spirits to our local economy, representative in that stat. Regionally, tourism contributes about $2.5 billion to the local economy and $32.7 billion across the entire province. Provincially, we have close to 400,000 people employed in tourism-related jobs in Ontario. And the travelers in Ontario, or provincially, we have represent 61% of all tourism receipts. So that's Ontarians visiting other destinations and locales within the province. That's followed by overseas visitors at 18%, US at 13%, and other Canadians at 7%. So overarching, as a Greenbelt community with fixed urban boundaries, agriculture and value-added agriculture is an important segment of our economy, and the tourism industry represents our biggest opportunity for economic growth. So in terms of the project goals, well, of course, it was to create that 5-year tourism action plan, ultimately growing the economy, increasing the number of visitors, and attracting investment. When I say attracting investment, I'm talking about sort of the tourism segment of the economy and attracting new, for example, accommodations, restaurants, more craft beverage manufacturing jobs, and of course, more experiential and experiences to have a lot of visitors in the community that can really, as Michelle Harris and our other delegates talked about, really have that wide breadth of experiences. So the vision. So this was a similar vision that we presented back in December, and I'll go through it again. So the Lincoln-centered destination offers visitors unique tourism experiences built around an award-winning artisanal beverage sector in a spectacular natural setting. Targeted at high-yield, small group and independent travelers, sensitive to preserving the unique character of place. So as you would have seen in the larger report, sustainable tourism, together with ecotourism and responsible tourism, will really form the central spine running through the entire Town of Lincoln tourism strategy. At the end of the day, we do talk about in the tourism strategy the need for respecting that character of place. We're not looking at over tourism. We're not looking at really having sort of the mass transit buses coming into the community, spending 15 minutes here and moving on. What we're looking for is that high yield visitor that's going to spend more time, ultimately more money in our community, while respecting that character. So what are the 7 guiding principles of the tourism strategy? Well, again, maintaining that character of place, collaboration. So this is that public-private partnership that a lot of our delegates tonight spoke of. The soft boundaries, so again, that regional approach to destination marketing. Yield over numbers, so again, that high level tourist that's going to come to the community and spend more time and at the end of the day, more money in our community. Accountability, so this is metrics in the system to make sure that the investment and the return on investment is being witnessed in the tourism sector. And again, grow that experiential tourism and sustainable tourism in our community. So what are the key recommendations? Well, of course, the key recommendation here is that the town plays a larger role in managing the overall destination. As you can see throughout the economic development strategy and of course this tourism strategy, tourism is important to us. It's the largest segment of our economy, so we need to nurture it. And as you know, Ms. Harris said in her remarks, it's not something that you can do from the corner of your desk. So the key recommendation here is that the town really play a larger role in managing the overall destination. So key recommendation number 2 is continuing with a third-party organization to help drive destination marketing and product development. So this is basically similar to the TVTA, but of course the new destination marketing organization will be much more narrow and well-defined in scope. We're talking about focusing wholly on destination marketing and not other aspects such as sort of event execution and stuff like that. And more to say later on this evening on that. Recommendation number 3 is really bringing in our other public and private sector partners to fund and manage the new destination marketing organization. So again, this is that regional approach to the destination marketing. And when I talk regional, I don't mean sort of Niagara as a whole, more of us in the West Niagara, because there are a lot of natural synergies between us and our neighboring municipalities. So transitioning to TVTA to this new organization, this is so the number 1 recommendation here is that hybrid stakeholder membership model, funding model. So as council will recall, back in December, we did have in our first draft a recommendation to move completely from that membership funding model, which is the current TVTA, over 100% to the stakeholder or pay-to-play model. The feedback that we received from both council and members of our tourism industry and sector here locally is that no, they wanted to see a hybrid stakeholder membership funding model to ensure there is some skin in the game from the members. So that is one of the key recommendations and changes from December that we are presenting today. And it is one of the key recommendations in moving forward. And of course, a new branding and marketing strategy to really set this destination down a successful path towards marketing and bringing more people into the community. Next slide there, yeah. So in terms of roles and responsibilities, there are obviously town-led management functions that we will focus on, and then there are destination marketing organization functions. So in terms of the town, of course, strategic coordination across the industry, community engagement, that's both on the public, or sorry, on the citizen and the business side of things. Support festival and events. This is from the municipal standpoint in terms of supporting them from the natural things that the municipality does. Investment attraction, tourism-friendly downtowns, accountability research to make sure there is that ROI built into the system. Visitor information services such as signage. In regards to the destination marketing organization functions, the key thing being here is targeted marketing strategy to increase tourism visitation, market readiness and experience development, and visitor information services. What you don't see here is event execution. In the past, the TVTA has done events, executed events, and what we're saying is the events really need to be to the private sector. The DMO should really focus on targeted marketing to market those events and have people come to them, but not on the event execution side. So of course, working together, the Town of Lincoln and the new Destination Marketing Organization will help drive tourism-related economic development and job creation into our community. So this slide here, and there's a lot of words that I'm not going to read point by point, but this really, what I wanted to encapsulate here is what the tourism landscape here in Ontario is. So the roles and functions of each of the organizations or levels of tourism. So on the far left, you do see tourism businesses and sector groups. These are really the businesses such as Bench Brewing or Peninsula Ridge Winery that really are tourism related businesses and focus on what they do best, which is obviously providing that visitor experiences. The next box over is that local tourism. So this would be the municipalities and BIAs and chambers of our community. And really it's around identification of tourism assets, inventory of tourism related businesses, determining whether tourism is a part of municipal economic development strategy and priorities, which obviously we've done. Engagement of the local operators and businesses and local associations. So this is working across the municipality in terms of that coordination, that strategic bringing people together. and of course working with stakeholders around streetscapes, facades, wayfinding signage, and parking and other assets of the community. And of course, the last two being very important to us is that tourism business retention expansions and tourism investment and attraction. So the center box here is really the DMO. So this is what we're looking to create, that regional destination marketing organization. And of course, and I won't go through each of the bullet points here, but there is really that lens in terms of the regional approach to tourism. The next box being the provincial tourism. So this is the Ministry of Heritage, Sport, Tourism, Culture Industries, Destination Ontario, TIO, which is the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario, and of course those RTOs. So the RTOs are the regional tourism organizations, of which we sit under RTO2, and they receive funding from the province to really market the overall regional destination, which of course is Niagara. And then on the far right is the national tourism, so Destination Canada and the Tourism Industry Association of Canada, and they really support from some of the data and innovation aspect and really that marketing Canada across the entire world, quite frankly. So Madam Mayor, next slide. Or sorry, Madam Clerk. In terms of strategic directions, so this is overarching themes, and I am repeating myself a little bit here, but overarching themes throughout the entire strategy. So defining and branding the destination, a targeted marketing plan, visitor information services, festival and events, again, accountability research, market readiness and experience development, investment attraction, supporting infrastructure, and those tourism-friendly downtowns. So one aspect that we didn't talk about in December, of course, is the gateways and the wayfinding portion of this project. And that portion and the overarching goal of that was really to further support our tourism industry by promoting the character and quality of the visitor experience, and of course to develop a cost-effective approach that enhances tourism potential by creating an upscale image for Lincoln and really setting it apart. So gateways, why are they important? Of course, the key component of branding, community, and marketing a community is that gateway feature, welcoming people to the community to create that sense of arrival and create an image of quality and character of the community. And of course, they really create awareness and name recognition. And gateways really are not just the features that we have on the highway, of which we have two in terms of the one at Ontario Street Beams, the one at Charles Daly. There's also the TVTA gateway signs. We have two on the highway, both on the east and the west. But really, this is a key component of welcoming people into our community, and it goes naturally or flows naturally into the wayfinding and other elements of our community as well. So these here that you're going to see on the next two slides are really some gateway concepts that we've done. Because of COVID, we've been a little bit delayed in terms of the Ministry of Transportation providing some permitting so we can do some topographical work. But this is really just a draft concept of what we're looking at in terms of the two gateway signs. This one here being the one at Charles Daly, which really includes a lot more landscaping, framing of the current sign that we have, looking at really refreshing and providing some much better landscaping that we currently have. And the idea is really refreshing and using the assets that we have. Madam Clerk, over to the next slide as well. And this one here being the gateway feature at Ontario Street in Beams. So again, some additional landscaping, some trees and plantings behind the signs to really frame it better, and of course some additional lighting as well. And the next steps on these is really to use some of our in-house experience or staff, our landscape design architect and our designer to really come up with a final product as well, so that we can really move forward on that. So in terms of wayfinding, why are they important? Of course, tourism directional wayfinding signage drives visitation and economic impact in the community. They provide points and areas of interest for people to see, explore, and experience. And of course, there's a positive effect on the community, both financially and reputationally. So on this side, the next slide here is the wayfinding prototype. So we have 5 prototypes that we're looking at in our community. There's the direction sign, the direction and destination signage, destination signage, that service club sign, and the utility pole sign. At the end of the day, the main goal for the wayfinding signage was really to streamline, the wayfinding that we have in our community. We have a lot of them, a lot of wayfinding signs. So how can we streamline and reduce clutter and really provide a higher end quality product that really showcases the importance of our destination? Now, because all these signs are on regional roads, we're obviously going to be working with the region to provide an MOU to allow these signs to be constructed. So we're currently behind the scenes working on that. And of course, looking for council support in the overarching tourism strategy and the wayfinding stuff this evening, which will allow us to go off and of course work with the region on that MOU. And the last slide here is the tourism strategy and economic recovery. As our Matt Giffen said this evening, the tourism sector, because of the COVID impact, there's been a hard hit to our community. So the key component of our economic recovery planning is, of course, moving forward with the tourism strategy. Indicators show that our tourism industry here in Lincoln and throughout the region, of course, has been hard hit. TILE, which is the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario, has indicated that pre-COVID tourism levels will most likely not return until 2023, 2024. And our tourism strategy and the hiring of our tourism coordinator will bring much needed support to our tourism sector here in Lincoln. And of course, marketing strategies, as has been mentioned multiple times this evening, is visiting your own backyard and to increase that tourism visitation from the GTHA markets. Again, that 2-hour window. So that's it in terms of the presentation this evening. I do look forward to council's comments and questions about the report and the overarching tourism strategy. Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Julie, I think the mayor was bumped off.
We'll just take a moment, then we'll wait if that's okay with everyone. Deputy Mayor, is it okay if we call a 5-minute break until we get the mayor back on?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to stop the live webcast temporarily so that we can take that break, and then we will reconvene as soon as possible.